As we're getting closer to E3, Game Informer, IGN, and Spyro Account on Twitter shared a pretty good chunk of new stuff on Spyro 1. Well, it's mostly concept art, but it's still a good amount of stuff. So let's first go over what Game Informer had to share. Alpine Ridge. The Skybox, compared to the original, it has a much lighter color. The mountains are more icy looking, which I think looks better in my opinion. I mean, you are near high mountains. Alpine Ridge. The grass is much greener. Now, in the old one, the grass was browner. I feel like we're entering like the opposite territory. What I mean by this is, when the grass was browner in, let's say, Stone Hill, a lot of people got worried, like, it's supposed to be greener. But if you look at this one, it was originally browner, but they went with green. I feel like some people are now going to say, it should be browner. Get what I'm saying? Like, oh no, it's too green this time. I personally don't mind the color change. It looks really nice. I mean, you can have green grass in areas like these, right? Look at this guy comparing real-life environments to Spyro. The Beast. We went from a more cute-looking thing to a complete horrifying, intimidating kind of beast. I approve. And now, this time, you can tell he has horns, right? Spyro just looks freaking adorable in this pic. Come on. Looking at the floor, the ground, they still kept that similar rock design. Some people mentioned the name of such pattern, I forgot. I can't recall, but I feel like they added more of that in this level this time. There is something different about Sparks. I think it's the smile. He's not showing his teeth. Is that it? I think so. Now, we got another picture. Same exact thing with a slight difference. A slight different angle. Here's another look at Ice Cavern with the Snowball Trooper. I love how part of the area lights up as Spyro breathes fire. Oh, and by the way, Spyro's fire breath won't just torch enemies. It can melt ice and burn grass. The burning grass part we know, but the melting ice part? That is cool. No pun intended, by the way. And another slight little detail you can notice is the shadow. I mean, you didn't have this in the original. It just looks cool. Ah yes, the Skybox. Yes, it is purple like the original. We don't see much, but you do notice the color purple. And here's a look at a concept of Ice Cavern. The buildings have a similar palette to the old one. The lighting looks close to the original. The whole bluish, purplish thing going on, it's still there. And Ice Cavern, you can definitely tell there's ice. It's much more dense. And as for the roofs, you do see some green, just like the original. The level, as always what Toys for Bob has been doing so far, it's fuller. Here's a pic of the goat on stilts. It certainly looks more lively, right? Look at this guy. Oh, there's also a concept for Toasty. And this is another great example of how Toys for Bob is aiming for more of a creepy factor. Here's a look at the laser Norcs from Beast Maker's Terrace Village. They still got that punk factor going on. Listening to music, rocking on those shady glasses, right? They are wearing a jacket this time, as opposed to a plain black shirt from the original. And the pants, the shorts are still there, but the color is slightly different. And you can see their legs better this time. And they decided to go with smaller feet. By the way, all of the enemies have new animations, but exhibit the same behaviors as before. Another example of this is, well, the shepherds from Stone Hill. Here's a tweet I found. Apparently, their idle animation includes a book, which is pretty cool. Now wait a minute. The floor here is being shocked, correct? This guy doesn't shock the floor, he shocks Spyro. While looking at the area, I'm thinking this guy is next to the Shock Norc, well, the Electro Norc, if you want to call it, who's currently not on screen. Next, concept for Magic Crafters. Right there is where they put Spyro for the placeholder box art, if you remember. Lighter green grass, a whole different color scheme going on. Blue is their main focus, it seems, and we no longer see that purple pinkish sky from before. Well, the hills and everything. There's much more green, trees and all that. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. A Druid. These are enemies you encounter from Magic Crafters. They went from floating eyes to this. You can tell they have a face this time. And they do still look goofy. Instead of a full-on robe, they still do have a robe, but you can see that they have red underneath. And it seems like they have a fruit growing on their heads. Kinda looks like strawberry, pineapple, something. Anywho, Game Informer not only shared concept art, which I just showed you guys, but they also went into detail. Game Informer explained that for Toys for Bob, it was harder to maintain the visual aspect of Spyro. For Vicarious Visions, Crash was all about linear gameplay. The main focus was on that. The environments already felt fuller. They already had something to work with. When it comes to Spyro, it's much more vast and empty. So Toys for Bob definitely had to tackle with that. They are adding much much detail to it and it's looking lovely. That's probably one of the challenges they have to face, like, what can we do? We want to add a few things, or a lot, we just don't want to make it seem like we're making a complete different game. Well, you could argue about that if you add extra content and stuff like that, but what I mean by a different game is, they want the game to remind us of the original. By the way, the game was rebuilt from scratch on the Unreal Engine 4, just like Crash was done from scratch. Peter Kavik, senior producer at Toys for Bob, had this to share. Toys for Bob rebuilt all of the games from scratch in Unreal Engine 4 and developed tools to extract as much data from Insomniac games as possible. It wasn't the actual source assets, however. The tool allowed us to map out the precious placement of objects in the world and lines things traveled on. We have all of that accurately captured and recreated here. Insomniac was able to rely on the exact level meshes and use them for paint over for the artists. They also used the original collision meshes to deliver what is essentially the exact same experience, but with a fresh coat of paint. The original game is basically running under a bunch of layers. Next piece of interesting info, well, two. There seems to be an art gallery, and you know what, I'll just read the quote. The one big change fans of the PlayStation games will see is every Elder Dragon has been redesigned. We had a chance to see one, which Spyro frees after exiting the art gallery. Toys for Bob wants each dragon to hammer home the theme of the world they inhabit. This particular one holds a paint tray, wears a stylish cap, and sports a tiny mustache. Now the dragons are just palette swaps. You know, cause the old dragons looked pretty much alike. I'm liking the direction they're going with, giving them different clothes, making it easy for us to differentiate the dragons. One of the concerns people have are the designs of the dragons. Stylish cap, paint spray, I can't wait to see that one. I know some people didn't really like the turban on Nestor and Artisans. I didn't mind it at all. I mean, that could still be concept, they might change it, it's still in development. As for this art gallery, at first, I'm gonna be honest, I thought it was the door at— oh, by the way, the door, people theorized it'd take you to the second game, the areas you see in the intros of 2 and 3, Permanent Super Flame. With that out of the way, let's get back to the point. It says that Spyro rescues this dragon right after exiting the gallery. This doesn't sound like you rescue Nestor. From Artisans, correct? So I'm wondering, this art gallery could perhaps be in the level Toasty. A certain room has been changed into an art gallery. They do mention a wizard on Game Informer who blocks the gate, so I'm thinking yes, this could possibly be in Toasty. Think of Dark Hollow, how they added a library. Apparently, Spyro converses with the beast, so that could mean there will be more scenes in the game. Look at this screenshot of 2018 titles. The one with Spyro in it. To me, the way he's positioned, the way he's looking, it seems like a cutscene. Is this like an intro or outro to a realm? This is something people have been discussing. Intro and outro cutscenes for the first game. Next piece of interesting info. Composer Stuart Copeland's original scores are being used, but the music is now dynamic, shifting in tone when Spyro moves from exploration to combat. I am really curious about this one. Stonehill, it does sound very close to the original one. When they say shifting in tone when Spyro moves from exploration to combat, I did re-listen to Stonehill from the 10-second gameplay footage. I'm not sure if I hear this shift in tone. Maybe you guys do, but this could possibly be something which is still in development, something which wasn't shown to the public yet. Stonehill, talking about this place. Another concept right here. It simply looks fuller, right? That's what they're aiming for. As for the roofs, it looks like it does match the color of the screenshot, but if we compare it to the 10-second gameplay footage you got 2 days ago, the roof looks greener? It could be due to lighting, but if not, they're just sticking close to the original. Ah yes, concept for the ram and the egg thief. The egg thief now has pupils. Well, actually, you do notice the pupils in the concept, but in the trailer, you don't. As for the ram, it has a darker face this time, and it does resemble a sheep, while technically a ram is a male sheep. Next, IGN posted 2 concept art and 2 gameplay comparison videos side by side. The Crystal Dragon, it looks more, how can I say this, elderly? It looks good. It's more detailed, bright. What am I gonna say? It just looks fantastic. Talking about the dragon crystals, in my breakdown video of Stonehill, which I uploaded 2 days ago, right at the beginning of this footage, you noticed the dragon on top. some told me in the comments, hey, it looks blue, but then I thought, looking at this concept, that blue could simply just be green, but looking like blue due to the lighting. What do you think? Here's a concept for the entrance of Toasty. They added moss grass growing on the dragon mouth. And about these comparison videos, the first one, you hear more of Stonehill's theme, and the shepherds, they get blasted further away, like a longer distance before they land to their death. But one thing I noticed between this footage and the one we got 2 days ago, the sky. Pay close attention. In the previous one, it was clearer blue with few clouds, but this time it's full on cloudy. It is the same area, right? Clearer skies before. So this tells me the other one could have possibly been early footage. The next one, we see the ram. Just like the shepherds, they fly away like projectile motion. And look at his face. Look at that look of despair. Last piece of concept art for today. This is where you meet the balloonist who goes by the name Marco, who allows you to go to Peacekeepers. And looking at the mood of the level, the lighting, it does have that warm feeling we have in Artisans from this screenshot right here. And guys, what am I gonna say? It's looking lovely. As I mentioned in the past, the concept art versus the actual screenshot, it's not always the same, but looking at this one, comparing it to its screenshot, well, not the same area I'm talking about, but the Skybox. They do look alike, but in the concept art, it does have more of that purplish people were talking about. Like, are they gonna bring it back? Are they gonna fix it? But all I'm gonna say, guys, to finish off this video, who knows? We'll see what happens from now on. So with that being said, guys, if I missed anything interesting, mention it in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Vivi, and thank you so much for watching.